Almost. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this regularly scheduled city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. I would like to call this meeting to order. We are going to begin by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to remain standing, and then words of inspiration will be given by Pastor Stephen Traxel from Grace Apostolic Church. Pastor Traxel.
Ask a prayer. We're so thankful today for your goodness and mercy to us. We thank you for every blessing you've placed upon this wonderful city of Clawson. I pray today for wisdom and guidance and understanding for our council members, for our mayor. Lord, I pray a protection upon all those that serve as first responders. I pray for every family, every child, every man, woman that's in the city, that you'd bless them and keep them today. I pray, Lord, that we would be a great city, that we would live out every day the examples that you set in your word, that we might serve one another and put someone before ourselves and not be rude or arrogant, but that we would serve each other in your spirit, Lord, because we know that we're two or three of us are gathered together. There you are with us, and we want to be the best Christians we can be for you and put you in the forefront of all that we do. I pray that our city can be a city set upon a hill that other cities can look to and see the blessings of God upon us. We thank you for all that you're doing. Bless this evening tonight and all those that are here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Roll call, please, Michelle. Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Witkowski.
Here.
Mayor Milan. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt. Here. Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda?
Madam Mayor, I move the agenda be modified to take the minutes out of the consent agenda, that item 9E be moved up ahead of 9, or move to the top, ahead of 9A. Is that where we want it? Okay. 9E be moved to ahead of 9A, and that a item that Mr. Binkowski brought forth be added to the agenda regarding the Code of Ordinances.
Okay, so we'll make that one 9F.
Yes,
Put it where? I'm sorry.
9F.
9F, okay. Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt,
Yes,
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. So we will make the aforementioned adjustments to our agenda. I will not pretend I'm going to remember them and utter them again. So we will move on to the next item, which is public comment for items on the agenda. If you would like to speak to any item that is on our agenda this evening, we give you the opportunity now to come to the podium. We'll give you 3 minutes. We'd ask that you state your name and your address. These are for items on the agenda. If you'd like to speak for things that are not on the agenda, we'll give you that opportunity later on in our meeting. And not seeing anyone come forward, we will close public comment and move on to the next item, which is proclamations and presentations. First item will be promotion and swearing in of Officer Michael Fowler as a new sergeant. Good evening, Chief Bouse.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
And good evening, Officer Michael Fowler, almost Sergeant Michael Fowler.
Yes, it is with great honor that I introduce to you Sergeant Michael Fowler. He began his career in law enforcement in 2007 as a records clerk with the Royal Oak Police Department. He attended the Oakland Police Academy in 2009, where he graduated first in his class and received the prestigious Academic Excellence Award. Sergeant Fowler has an associate's degree in firefighter technology as well as in criminal justice from Oakland Community College. Before being hired by the Clawson Police Department in 2021, he previously worked for the East Point Police Department, the Carroll Police Department, and the Cadillac Police Department, as well as an auxiliary officer for the Hazel Park Police Department. As you can see, Sergeant Fowler came to us in 2021 with a wealth of knowledge and experience in policing. He has diligently worked here in Clawson as a patrol officer and as a leader and mentor for our younger officers. He currently leads the night shift platoon as an acting sergeant since May. Since joining the Clawson Police Department, Sergeant Fowler has been trained as a defensive tactics instructor, a simunitions instructor, a crisis intervention officer, a bicycle officer, and is soon to be our next taser instructor. He also enjoys assisting the Detective Bureau with follow-up on all of their investigations, which I know is greatly appreciated. Sergeant Fowler is married to his lovely wife, Erica, and enjoys spending time going to dinner with her and watching old movies in his spare time. I am proud to have the honor of promoting Michael Fowler as the next sergeant of the Clawson Police Department.
Someone taking photos or is Mr.
Madam Mayor, if I may, so obviously we have to have the oath taking ceremony because of Michelle still not having her oath taking ceremony. We brought our paralegal from our office who will do the oath if we may, and
Perfect.
then take pictures whenever we needs to.
Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
the Charter of the City of Clawson,
the Charter of the City of Clawson,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Sergeant
that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Sergeant
in and for the City of Clawson,
in and for the City of Clawson,
County of Oakland, and State of Michigan,
County of Oakland, and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, get your.
Good? Yep. Go ahead. Council?
Go ahead.
Sergeant Fowler, just for the record, you could not see your cute wife from where you were standing, but when you mentioned watching old movies together, adorable smile, just like that. So good points on that one. Thank you so much. Next up, we have a presentation by the Guardian Angels Catholic School FTC Robotics Team, 6th through 8th graders. We're so excited to have you this week. We need to hear how you did last time when you weren't able to be here because you had a fun competition. So who's gonna lead up this fun event for us? Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Carter Monroe, and this is team 8531. The GA bots.
Come on up, young people.
This is our team portfolio.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Excellent.
You guys
Thank
can
you.
come stand right here so everyone can see you because they came to see you this evening. How many of you were here last year? Because I recognize some faces. Yes,
Thank you.
good job.
You were wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So how's it going? Pretty good.
Isn't there a portable mic?
What exciting things have you been doing since we saw you last?
We made it to states.
You made it to states? That's amazing. That's this year you made it to states. And has that competition already taken place? Or are you looking forward to it? You guys ready? You're gonna
Yes.
bring home the gold, the urban gold? Yeah, so exciting. What do you have to show us this evening? Carl?
This is our robot. This is our robot. We have many different features on our robot.
Parents who are here that want to take photos, please just come up here. You can come right behind me. We are very friendly. We want you to get all the best shots you can get for your people, okay? Make yourself comfortable and I'll move out of the way so you can do that.
Keep all of them at the same time. What do you expect me to do?
He expects you to be an IG robot.
Take that one. We're so fun, so fun. Where do I put this? On the I'm so scared.
So our robot has many different features, including the arm and the gripper is how we pick up and score pixels.
Some STEM activities that we do at our school are we like to introduce our younger kids in doing robotics. So basically for our little kids like preschoolers, they like doing these hex bug mazes. So basically we have a hex bug and they set up a maze however they want. And then the hex bug will No. Take the. Oh, okay. So then the hex bug can go through the maze that the preschoolers would set up for it. And then for our 5th and 6th graders, we do Edison, which is basically they plug a cord into a Chromebook and they would program the Edison to do what they want. So like this would go forward. So they would have to program it by themselves. Some other activities we do is for our 7th and 8th graders, we make these paper straws and we turn them into little rockets. And then this one goes further and then the thicker one goes like slower and shorter. And then for our kindergartners, we help them understand how to control things. So Miss Izzy in their class will hold up this orange one and they will click the orange button in this one and it'll go left. So then they turn it left. And then let's say she said to go forward and then she would hold up this blue one and then they would go forward. And then at the end, after she's done doing all the colors, she would pull up the green one and that's to go. And it just like helps them how to know what to do. So for programming for our robot, we use Google Blocks. And so basically, when you run our autonomous, it lets us either score on the backdrop or if we're on the far left corner, not near the backdrop, we would just put the pixel on the spike mark.
So how our robot works is so how our robot works is we have the basic for
I think I paired them wrong in accident.
one second, it froze.
Okay, so the competition that we usually do for like qualifiers and to get into like our competition in states is we usually go through about 20, it depends on the event. It can go through like half the day if it's like just like for like placements or like qualifiers to get into like qualifiers in states, like gives you a better chance and like higher on the leaderboard. So it can either be half the day or like last Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. We had it for like a whole day, and depending on your placement, your team could be chosen, or how well you went with the team. Your team would be chosen for elimination matches where you play against the top other 4 teams who chose another 2 teams to be on theirs. A little confusing, but and then they go against each other till we get to the final round where everything just comes like to a big dramatic end. Like it really builds up on each other, and it definitely depends on like friendship and everything that you need to on your robot. And it being through it is definitely a lot. That's kind of all I have to say about that. But it was very exciting because we were like the last ones to be told that we were going to states, and we honestly thought we weren't going to go. So it was definitely a big thing for us. And yeah.
So how our robot works is we have the basic forward and backwards. We have these things called mechanism wheels that allows us to go side to side. And our robot also goes from also can do donuts. Amazing. How we mainly score our pixels is we have this mechanism that we go and pick up the pixel. We go, and the thing we're about to score on is called the backdrop. There's also things called mosaic. So like three yellow colored pixels together would be considered a mosaic. Or also three purple pixels together or 3 green pixels together. Or like we're going for a yellow, a green, or a purple pixels together. So you guys see the lines on the board. The first line that counts as 10 extra bonus points. The second line counts as 20 bonus points, and the third line counts as 30 bonus points. So you want to try to get as high as you can.
Well, actually, wait. We just this year we got 2 3D printers which printed our prop, and the thing that holds the camera on the back, this yellow part right here. And
Our team prop.
yeah, our team prop is 3D printed.
We also printed our first model of the airplane launcher.
I don't think.
Yeah, but we did not bring it, but we did print part of it. But now it's made out of metal because every time we would pull back on it, it would just, yeah, too much power and just break the 3D printing.
Well, what we wanted to do was we wanted it to be able to get extra points. So we made a drone that is on the robot right now. Josh just talked about the launcher for it. Carter has the button for it, so Carter do it. It would launch it. Depending on how close you get it, you want it to get just out. It would go 30 closest, 20 medium, and then 10 is longest. Pass it down.
Okay, so for Bridget and my job, we like take the notes of like, we have a chart on our chalkboard. And we like cross off stuff we already have on our robot and stuff we don't. So we can like take notes on what we did that day and figure out what we need to fix and what we're fine with. And then we type all that stuff on Google Docs and then print all that out in physical form and yeah. Another way we can score points is called hanging. There's a metal structure that we can hang on. So what we do is we lift those hooks up. Then we back up onto the structure, and our robot lifts itself up onto the structure. That gives us an extra 20 points for endgame. Okay.
Uh-oh, okay, should I?
Go.
Okay.
Just like that, it lifts itself up.
I didn't know if it would actually be able to.
So how another way is we have to be very precise. We have a slow button. And another one of my favorite buttons is a turbo button. So getting close to the board, I push the slow button to measure up where I want to place the pixel.
I didn't know if you wanted to explain better.
Some problems that we had with our robot was, so it was a little big to get through, usually like, here, can you just like not move for a second? So like, the bars would be like right here and about here. Our robots used to be like a little bit, like 2 inches bigger. And that was a very big problem. So, cause we were too big and it was really hard to get through without hitting the poles. And it would often build up static electricity from the wheels. So our robot would shut down. So we made it 2 inches smaller, and the wires back here, can we turn this around? Yeah, I'll do it. So the wires right here, they would usually get tangled up in the wheels. Thank you, Carter. So they'd usually get tangled up inside the wheels. So we put bands and zip ties around them. And now it's not as much of a problem. And I thought I had another thing, but I completely forgot. Sorry.
And during our autonomous or even in teleop, whenever we would put a pixel in onto the backdrop, we'd figured out that it's basically like Plinko. It could go anywhere, even if we aimed it directly on where you want to go. So it turned out to be very troubling, especially for our first match.
When we first did our matches, it was very hard because we weren't used to all the people. But since we've gone through, it's been much easier navigating through. It has like 4 motors, 1 for the wheel, 1 for the gripper.
What is?
It's 6 models.
Then why do you say 4?
4 for the wheels and 2 for the arm.
Okay, 6 motors, 4 for the wheels, one for the arm and one for the hanger.
There's a taped off area in front of the board, which is called the backdrop area. So if I push a pixel into there, that's considered as 1 point. Placing a pixel onto the board is 5 points. If you
Usually the line would be like above here, and the wall would be like right here, so there's like a little box right here, so we usually park there and on this. For the extra points.
That's everything. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
You can have your students along with council.
Yeah, if you guys want to go up in there,
I got
you guys go stand up in front. Guys, just put it on the cart for now. Just put it on the cart. Oh, you guys tangled with the mic?
We did it. They did it so.
I was gonna say, if we can just let them know.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna join these. No, I'll get tangled.
Thank you all so much.
I think one of the other things we're gonna try to do is the team, does other years, take it to the senior, towers. And show them, what they do and what the kids are doing, so it's always kind of interesting for them. We're in what's called the FTC, which is the 6th or 8th grade in Michigan. I think there's 500 or so teams now in Michigan for the FTC, so. Hopefully we can do this every year from now on, so thank you.
Oh, we appreciate your coming. I don't know about anyone else. I enjoy this
just
every time. You guys
We'll
make
take it
me
in the
feel
back,
like
guys.
I missed something in my educational process, but you're amazing. You speak well, you work really well together. I'm sure your parents and your teachers are really proud. I know we are. And we wish you the best on Saturday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Macomb Community College, if anybody's not doing anything this weekend
Open
in Warren.
What time
Go.
and where?
It'll be at the Warren campus in their gym, basically, or athletic center. And it's actually Saturday and Sunday, Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning are matches. Sunday afternoon's playoffs, so.
Excellent job. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, Joan Horton, you have a hard act to follow, but I have confidence in you. I think you can present equally as well. We're going to have a presentation from Downtown Development Authority, an informational meeting and updates from Director Joan Horton in accordance with the recodified Tax Increment Financing Act 57 of 2018 for the purpose of informing the public of goals and the direction of the authority. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, well, no robots, and I figured I was just lucky if I got share screen working.
Technology's technology, right?
Yeah, this is.
They
okay.
started younger than we did, so.
Tell me. So yes, this is part of what the DDA is required to do. Twice a year, we're required to hold 2 informational meetings. For the purpose of informing the public of the goals and directions of the authority. Basically, we use tax money, so we have to report. This is additional reporting that was added when they added to the law in 2018 to make sure that everyone was reporting well enough. Apparently, there were some people not following the rules, not us. So tax incremental financing is the means by which the DDA is primarily funded. And so in a short review, how that works is in 1990-91, the tax base of the downtown properties were assessed when the TIF was adopted. So TIF is tax incremental financing. We normally just refer as TIF. So in 91, the taxable value the downtown properties was 6.4 million. Taxing authorities received funds from the downtown properties based on the 91 assessed value. So the people that receive property taxes are Oakland County, the countywide programs that they support, the Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority, Oakland County Community College, Oakland County Public Transportation, which is the SMART system, and the city of Clawson. So with TIF, and so in 2022, our taxable value is now 15.37 million. With TIF, those other entities continue to receive tax money from the district based on the 91 assessed value. The difference between the 6.4 million assessed value and 2022 is an 8.97 million incremental growth. The DDA budget is based on that increase in assessed values over the 3 years of the TIF adoption. So that doesn't mean that we get 8.97 million, which would just be awesome. But it does mean that our tax revenue that we receive is 180,000. So this slide explains why I am asked at least a couple times a year why we don't have the big bright light show. Well, that's easy. We, if you kind of look at this graph here, operating supplies make up 8% of our budget. It's only 8% because we supplement that with grants, in-kind donations, and sponsorships. Our next largest chunk of the pie is salaries, which is 16%. That's one full-time person at 30,000 a year. The big part of the pie there is debt. That's the bond that we took out in 2011 to fund the streetscape. We got more on-street parking. We got expanded new lighting downtown. We got more brick pavers. A lot of improvements that went in that streetscape. And when the projections were done for the bond and looking at what your payments were going to be, it was anticipated that each year property values would go up a little bit. And each year, and we would have adequate budget for the DDA. Instead, in 2014, property values took a real dive. And we are just now, 13 years later, back to the 2014 values. So we've had a lot of lean years. We have to be very, very careful with our spending and look for every funding opportunity that we can possibly get to supplement our budget. Because more than half of your budget gone to a bond means you learn to be very careful. So what have we gotten this year? We've worked more on the 14-mile alley project. It's an ongoing project. The overhead string lighting was added. There's new planters, there's new seating, and artwork has been completed, and it's going to be installed this Friday, and we all have our fingers crossed on that. That was funded primarily through sponsorships and grants. We did more streetscape improvements, new planters, seasonal plantings, some spring, summer banners, branded trash containers throughout the downtown, new holiday lighting and decor. Trash containers, not a real sexy item, but they look a lot better than the open containers that had trash piled up on the side that ended up blowing on the street. So they're very expensive, but we're quite happy with them. We're also working on the master plan update that's in progress and will be completed next year. And that was funded through the DDA budget and supplemented with a Main Street grant. It is online, went out on Facebook today. It'll be on our website. I'm sending it out on our newsletter. We want people to answer. There are very few questions. This is an update. The main ones are, what kind of public art do you want? How tall should buildings be in the downtown? Should they be 3 stories or 4? And those are the basic two. We want to know how you want your downtown to look. And our 2017 master plan, which won an award at the American Planning Association, is referred to all the time by developers that come in and want to build in the downtown. They read that, they want to know what direction the community wants the downtown to go. How do they want it to look? So it's very important that our master plan reflects what the community wants. So please fill out the survey. Looking forward with reoccurring events and programs, we have our annual events. We'll bring Restaurant Week back this year now that we have our full cadre of restaurants. Open Air Fair, Cinema in the Street, we're a co-sponsor of Clawson Fest, Trick or Treasure, and the Great Pubkin Crawl. It's important to note that nowhere on that chart was there anything that showed that there was money for events. Every one of our events draw solely on donations and sponsorships. We don't use our funding for that. All of our events have to be cash positive. We will continue working on business assistance with the downtown businesses. We act as first point of contact to inform and assist all kinds of business grant opportunities, license applications, city ordinances and policies. We also offer the Business Assistance Grant Program, which is a matching grant offered to encourage building facade improvements. We will continue to work to meet the criteria to be recognized as an accredited Main Street community, which we have been since 2011. We receive technical assistance, grants, and support programs through the National Main Street Program, and our local Main Street Oakland County program works with organizations and businesses in the county and nationally to provide other grant opportunities for us. Most recently, we received a grant from Flagstar for Planters, Flagstar Bank, and Genesis Credit Union is another one that does grant programs through the Oakland County program. And most importantly, our businesses benefit from the opportunities afforded through Main Street. Each year, the DDA sets goals and draws up a work plan to achieve those goals. The work plan incorporates the 4 Main Street points of design, promotion, economic vitality, and organization. There's not one leg that makes something successful. It relies on all of those points to have a successful program. So we take those 4 points, we come up with projects based on our goals, and we divide these up into project committees and tasks. We will continue this year and the rest of the remainder of this year working on outreach, increasing our social media reach, and maintain our interactive business directory. We have a business directory that provides the business name, contact information, directions to them, all their social media sites and their website. So pretty much any information that business has, we incorporate that into our business directory. We'll maintain our annual events, as I said, continue to work on streetscape improvements. Whoops, sorry about that. And working on planning for future parking. Part of that is on the master plan right now. Roadway design, how can we pick up more parking? Again, that's why we need to hear from people. Develop a public amenity policy that again goes with the public art portion of the master plan, and maintaining our landscaping. So very importantly, the DDA relies on community support and volunteers to carry out the work plan. We have an address book right on the front page on our home page. Click on that icon and it will take you to a volunteer site asking you, do you want to sign up for a committee? Do you want to just throw your name in the hat and say, hey, I like to do this, or I do web design, or if I'm a finance guy, but I don't want to do that outside of work, but I do want to use my creative side. You just fill out, answer a couple questions, throw your name in the book. And if it's a committee, or if it's hey, we need your opinion, or if it's when it's stuck on a website question, does somebody have a minute? It might be just a one-time thing. So we're asking people, please consider adding your name to our address book. And that ends the presentation. So are there any questions?
I have sort of a question. So years and years and years ago, I purchased one of the bricks that's down there. And it's terribly worn out and you can hardly see it. What can be done to?
Well, I mean, bricks on the ground do wear out. So they probably have a 10, 15-year lifetime. I've seen people that have gone down there with Sharpies, filled it in, and that actually is lasting. You can see them. So I would probably do that. We've never raised our price on our bricks. That's also on our homepage, a little brick icon. They're $80 for a brand newie if you want a new one. Or you want to add another one, and we try to put them, if people have one of their family there or they want another one, we try to make sure we get them together too if they ask. So keep families together. So that was it. Yes.
Is it possible to get a copy of the presentation
Sure.
emailed to us?
I can send it out and I'm going to put it on our website too.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? We thank you for your time. You did a great job. Did I hear someone?
No,
I
that was
always
me.
hear something in this room. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Equally exceptional job as the Guardian Angels team. Next up, we will move to item 8A, well, 8, which is consideration of approving the following consent agenda. Minutes of the city council organizational meeting held, you pulled the minutes off. So we're just gonna, both minutes you pulled off, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so our consent agenda consists of the list of bills in the amount of $178,039.26.
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as amended.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Benkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you. We've approved our amended consent agenda and we'll move on to item 9.
Michelle.
Pardon.
We moved E up to.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to item 9A, which has been changed, so, wait, what am I, yes, that's correct. Right. 9A, which is. 9E became 9A. I put 9F for the code of ordinances. That's what was throwing me off.
Designate where the minutes would go, though. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
you're right, we didn't.
So is it the pleasure to just move everything down one, or do you want to put the minutes at the end?
So if we move Michelle to real A and then everything down and put it at the end after
the
Councilmember
code of
Bukowski's thing. is fine.
Add the briefest wrinkle that didn't occur to me a moment ago. We need to accept the resignation of our former city clerk. before-
That is why the agenda is the way it is.
Yes, and I apologize. That was the cause of the confusion, Madam Mayor, when I reached out to you. May we move that item first,
Yes.
Michelle second, and thereafter. See.
How about we do this, Madam Mayor? I move that item D and E be moved to the top of agenda item 9. And then Councilmember Benkowski's proposed ordinance be put at the end, followed by the review of the minutes.
Support.
Roll call. Do we need to roll call that?
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Benkowski.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna move on, and this item of business is consideration of accepting the resignation from City Clerk August Gitschlag. Would like to make a motion?
Want to hog all the motions.
Madam Mayor, I move the resignation of City Clerk August Gitschlag effective immediately, and to authorize the city attorney to negotiate the separation agreement among the parties be approved.
Support.
Thank you. Any conversation or should we go to roll call?
So, no, I have a question.
Okay.
So what needs to be negotiated? Because he resigned. His contract says he's supposed to give 30 days notice. He did not.
Yeah.
So what needs to be negotiated?
I think he did, Councilmember Moffett, he's within the 30 days, I believe, by my calculation. And we're gonna give meeting, I think, to the contract, obviously. But the one thing that I'm gonna negotiate on behalf of council always will be a separation agreement that includes certain terms such as non-disparagement clauses and things of that nature. I think that makes sense for us to do always with respect to all outgoing members.
So is there an anticipation? And the reason I ask this is I had a long conversation with a citizen about us proving that we're good fiduciaries of their funds,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Because if we're gonna ask for money for the roads, what are we gonna do? We need to prove that we're good fiduciaries with the monies they've given us so far. So when you say to negotiate a separation agreement, he resigned. Is there the anticipation that there's gonna be financial compensation for that resignation?
Yes, ma'am. Well, his contract does have those terms, has financial terms. He has a separate, I believe, a 3-month severance negotiated in his agreement.
But he resigned and he didn't give us 30 days. Unless we got the resignation significantly later than when he turned it in. We got it this past Thursday or Friday. And his last day was November 30th. That's not 30 days.
The resignation
No,
letter.
in
had
his
date on it.
resignation letter, he states a date and we're asking council to accept it effective immediately.
Yeah, I think, I'm sorry, and I was just, it took me a second to catch up to your line of thinking, Councilmember Moffett. I think both the mayor and the city manager are correct. He gave a date 30 days in advance, which was well within his contractual ability to do so. We are asking on pain of previous experience. We're asking that this body adopt and accept that resignation effective immediately. For all the reasons that I know you're painfully aware of as well. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense not only with respect to this particular employee, not to single him out in any way, shape, or form, but with respect to all.
And so the separation agreement will be subject to council's approval, correct?
If there's anything above and beyond his agreement, absolutely. Absolutely. But there's not gonna be, I can tell you right now, there will be nothing beyond his agreement.
So just for transparency, then the anticipation is that we're going to give the gentleman who resigned 3 months severance.
It's agreed upon in his contract. I think I would need authority to go the other way. If I brought it to you and you were to somehow tell me, absolutely not, we want to breach that contract, I would need that authority.
And so you're saying that this statement that says termination without cause by either party, the operative word being either.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So.
Anyone else? Call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
No.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
No.
Mayor Milan.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item then, which will be consideration of the appointment of Michelle Cuckoo as our city clerk.
So, Madam Mayor, I move that Michelle Cuckoo be appointed the interim city clerk effective immediately.
Interim, all right, someone wanna approve or not approve it, so we can talk about this, just about the linguistics here.
Is there a second?
Okay, so then that fails.
Right.
Would
So-
someone please make a motion absent the term interim?
Madam Mayor, I move Michelle Cuckoo be appointed as city clerk be approved. Support.
Why would we not use the word interim?
If I may, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So at the end of this calendar year, the new charter will go into effect, which gives me the authority to hire the city clerk and treasurer.
With the advice and consent of council is what the charter says, correct?
I'd have to go back and look specifically at that.
It does. So Michelle retired several years ago and has graciously helped and supported the community. However, it is the intention for us to hire a regular full-time city clerk, correct?
It is. The intention is that Michelle goes back to being the clerk, and at some point in the very near future, we will have somebody in a capacity as the deputy to matriculate eventually to be the clerk under her mentorship and tutelage.
And then we would hire
And
a
then,
regular one,
and then
right?
that person would hire a deputy.
So she's the interim. She's not the permanent.
It's semantics at this point.
It's important semantics though. So, I mean, the intention is not to put her in place and leave her there for 3 more years, right? Because she's been 3 years already, right? The intention is to provide stability to the city
Correct.
and fill the position in a permanent capacity to the extent that permanence exists in the employment law in Michigan, right?
We're saying the same thing.
No, we're not. We're saying that she's the temporary replacement until a full-time position is filled.
But I have the trust, faith, and confidence in her to be the permanent. Interim gives an impression that, hey, you're just holding, she's just holding a place until, which gives credence to your argument. However, she has been the clerk before, and so she rates the title of clerk, not interim clerk.
It's not to disparage anything of her skills and talent. She's very talented, very knowledgeable, but interim designates that our intention to look for a permanent person. I mean, it's a proper labeling of her role that she is the interim. It's not meant to in any way diminish her skills and capacity and her knowledge, because she's fantastic and we love her. But at the end of the day, she's not expected to be here for another 10 years. She is interim until a permanent position can be filled, right?
Well, the motion on the floor is not interim. It's
Agreed. That's what gave me the ability to have a discussion about it.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes, I guess at this point, we're wrestling with terminology, so I would ask the city attorney, what is considered the time limit definition of interim versus permanent?
Well, I don't know that we have any such definition in law. I think, I don't know that I would be able to give you a finite period of time to be able to give meaning to your question, sir.
All right, so we're in this, excuse me, at this point, we're kind of left to ourselves to determine how temporary interim means.
Yes, but I mean, I think, you're always conditioned by January 1st when the provisions of the new charter kick in one respect. I'm not sure that in that sense, your question is addressed fully, but nonetheless, that is one period of time that you may consider.
So go ahead.
Madam Mayor, what I'm kind of concerned about is we don't know anything about salary or duties of Ms. Cuckoo in this position. So therefore, I would like to move to amend the motion on the floor that the appointment of Michelle Cuckoo as city clerk be subject to to negotiation and approval by the council of a contract negotiated by the city attorney.
Okay.
And I'd ask that we don't get a second on that, please.
Okay, I'm gonna pose my questions and then we'll circle back on all of these, and I'm assuming Councilmember Shepherd may have something to say on this as well. So do you mind if I just do this? I'm assuming that Ms. Cuckoo would not have accepted this assignment had it not been discussed. And if she were planning on being extremely temporary, it would have been listed as a temporary position. Now, we have sat through this process and hired, I can think of 2 city clerks. One lasted maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3. And she was exceptional. And that was not a part-time position. She was a full-time hire. She did not last. And then not long after that, we hired another woman who was extremely exceptional, who probably lasted 3 or 4 months. So with great intent to hire permanent, long-term career employees, things didn't work out and it didn't happen. And I know we work in the world where sometimes it just doesn't happen. I think I'm assuming you guys have had conversation. you being Ms. Cuckoo and you being Mr. Baker, about the plans of this position, and they are not necessarily temporary. And I'm assuming, which I shouldn't assume, that the rate and the responsibilities would be that which we are currently compensating Mr. Gitschlag for? Would that be?
I believe
correct?
you're probably getting Mrs. Cuckoo probably at a little less because she's not collecting all of her benefits because she is a retiree.
Well, I guess then those are valid questions then from this group, if it's gonna be something above and beyond, but that's just my perspective. And I don't wanna undermine your choice or yours. And realistically, we know as a body that this can take place. However, effective January 1st, I would like us to act in support of Mrs. Cuckoo for what she's done, and then also to support you for what, your plan in putting something in place. And those are my thoughts. So let me go to Glenn first, just because I've not let him speak yet. Mr. Shepherd, do you have any?
Madam Mayor, just for a matter of practicality, I know we're into semantics now. And I appreciate that, but how many days do we have before the charter kicks in?
January 1st.
Yeah, so I mean, if we go into negotiation, this could take weeks and we have one more meeting, plus we have other business we've got to attend to. So we need somebody in place now because right as of now, we don't have a clerk.
Okay, Mr. Binkowski, thank you for being patient.
With all due respect, it's still the council's job to hire the city clerk until the end of the year. And I have problems writing a blank check and I know maybe it's probably gonna be about the same salary as Mr. Gitschlag was, but I'd like to see it. I mean, I don't think it's being completely unreasonable to want to know how much we're paying the employees that we hire.
So could you repeat the motion you made before?
Wait, do we have a motion on? We have a
Motion,
second.
but there's no
Okay,
second.
all right.
Right.
I'll make sure.
There was an amendment that
Okay.
received no second.
Correct.
Okay,
What was your amendment?
My amendment was that I moved that we approve the appointment of Michelle Cuckoo with after a negotiation by the city attorney for her salary and duties.
And I asked respectfully that there would not be a second. So thus far, there hasn't been a second.
Well,
There was
no,
plenty of
because I'm gonna second
discussion.
that. I'm gonna second that because it warrants conversation. Councilmember Binkowski is correct. Right now, the position is under the responsibility of the council and for, again, being good fiduciaries of the citizens' monies. We should have, right now, we should have a discussion that council, whether it's in closed session or whatever, the council understands what kind of compensation she would be received because we were involved in Mr. Gitschlag's contract. Again, this is not in any way, Michelle, this is not anything against Michelle. She's fantastic and we appreciate everything that she's done for the city. She is a treasure and we appreciate her and I'm excited that she wants to be part of the city clerk's office and serve again because she's so valuable and knowledgeable. But at the end of the day, things have to be done right. And this position is still under the purview of the council until the end of the year. And so, and again, the charter says going forward, the city manager gets to do it with the advice and consent of council. So we're still part of the process, regardless of how much we're stonewalled. So that's why I second Mr. Binkowski's motion.
so what can we do to have an understanding of what the compensation package is and what our financial obligation will be as a city, because that seems to be the bone of contention here, right? Not full disclosure of the entirety of this position.
Proposal.
So is it possible, can we go?
I mean, I could provide you some feedback on that in my Friday feedback. I mean, I did not anticipate such pushback on an obvious candidate for.
Not on the candidate,
Yeah.
though. It's not by any stretch of the
Okay,
imagination
you're
on the
arguing
candidate.
about something that's
Hold
been
on.
4 weeks
Mayor,
long.
Madam, point of order, Madam Mayor. Ms. Moffett was talking. She
Well-
does not deserve to be interrupted.
I don't want it to be characterized as anything against the candidate, because by no stretch of the imagination is it any kind of commentary on the candidate. She's a fantastic candidate. It's the process and procedure associated with putting her in place that's at issue here.
Mr. Councilmember Bukowski.
I'll echo the same thing. I plan to vote for, for Michelle to be clerk. I just want to do this the right way, and I just don't want to, willy-nilly it.
What would council want from me? I mean, we don't necessarily need an employment contract, but specific to her wage in comparison to the outgoing. Is that what you're looking for? I mean, this was, go ahead. Sure.
If I may,
Mayor.
practically speaking, the earliest the council obviously would be receiving would be at the next meeting, would be receiving an agreement. If we're gonna draft anything, correct, just.
Have you not done that already amongst yourselves? Have you not drafted some sort of a contract?
We have not drafted a contract. We've negotiated a wage in conjunction with the finance director that we believe is commensurate with her skill set and what she's doing for us at this point.
So then the job description and all of those responsibilities would remain the same for what we currently have. That's easy. And then if you have the other, whatever benefits and wage that you've agreed upon, that should be super easy to put together. I would like this to move forward as best. I would like to move forward, but I do agree that.
Sure. I bring that back as an agenda item.
So can I ask, thinking about it, I mean, she's been working here for 3 years. What was the nature of her capacity for the past 3 years? We voted on it, right? I mean, it was back when I was on council before, we voted on putting her in place in some capacity. What was the definition of that capacity that she's been working here for 3 years under?
I know
You're asking me that?
Yeah, or anyone who has that information.
I will say that my capacity since I've been back has been mainly training and mentoring the clerk's office. And then more recently, I've been helping the city manager with duties since Nick took the position. So I've been staying busy with what I'm, working on. However, I've been working very closely with the clerk's office through the elections and the duties of the clerk's office.
I guess that's kind of my point. I mean, you've been interim city clerk employee for 3 years.
No, that's not correct.
So what have you been? What were you labeled? Because we voted on it to put you in place, right? What did we call it then?
Well, once you hired a clerk, you got a clerk, you appointed a clerk.
But you've been here for 3 years and we voted on putting you in place for three years ago. What did we call it then?
I think chronologically, there's an issue there with your recollection.
We talked about it the other day.
I think when she first came, when we first brought her back in, it was to assist in the clerk's office. And since you've been here, she's worn a cape and done everything, right? She's administrative lead in this place and mentor and all of these other things. So there is a discrepancy in that, but what we brought her in for all of those years back when she first left and was gracious enough to come back part-time, and then never left because she's gracious. That was as a assistant in the clerk's office or some function of the clerk's office. Right, Michelle?
I believe it was for assisting in elections, wasn't it?
Election specialist, I thought.
I've often said I don't need a title. I'm here just working. I've had I think that election specialist was one of the titles. I've been assistant to the city manager. I've been interim city clerk. I've been city clerk. So there's been a lot of different titles. And I tell this to the city manager all the time that I don't need a title. I'm here to help and assist in what way that I can.
So I would say that we all know that you have capacity that is greater than a title and a position in this community. And we want to retain you. And we're willing, it sounds like, to retain you as our next city clerk for however long you choose that you want to do that, right? And it doesn't look like it's extremely temporary, hence we would have a temporary city clerk or whatever. But how do we get to the point where this council is comfortable with the specifics of the position? We understand the role and the responsibilities being that of city clerk. Is that correct with everyone? Just general?
Yep.
So our concern is what the normal contract / benefit package would be in any other capacity that the council would be approving for a hire. So how do we get to that quickly so that we can proceed?
If I may suggest, if council would please support her appointment, and I will bring back on the council, for the council's consideration, everything you're looking for, a breakdown of what she's getting and what she will not be getting or is not getting because she's already a retiree.
Because it won't be a traditional package because she is a retiree,
That's correct.
right? As far as benefits and such go.
Madam Mayor, I respectfully suggest there's a motion on the table and call the vote.
So does anyone remember what that motion is?
It's for the amendment.
About the amendment.
Okay, roll call.
You want to know what the amendment was,
Please.
to make the appointment subject to negotiation of the approval of, I heard city council and I also heard city attorney.
The city attorney.
City attorney, so I didn't know which way you wanted to go with that.
Well, then do we need
So
a
that's the
time?
amendment.
Do we need a time frame on that? Like. if we're
Madam
gonna-
Mayor, we would bring it to you before, obviously, given the timeframe that we have, we would bring it to you by the next council meeting.
Okay, and everyone's fine with that?
Unless you want to do a special meeting, which I don't think you do.
We haven't had one of those in a really long time, and special meetings are so special, right?
So in other words, if we vote yes on this amended motion, we will not have a our city clerk until the negotiations are complete.
No,
Is that-
he's-
So we're saying yes.
And we don't have a city clerk right now.
Exactly. So let's minimize this time as much as we can. So in other words, if we approve the motion, she will be the city clerk. And the negotiations for her compensation will be pending.
And presented to us for our perusal.
Approved.
Correct, okay. All right, is everyone comfortable with that motion?
That was what my motion was, to
Okay.
have, to have the city clerk negotiate an
Roll,
employment agreement.
roll call, please.
Councilmember Shepherd,
No.
Councilmember Anderson,
No.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Muppet.
Yes.
The amendment fails, now is the main motion, Madam Mayor.
Which was the appointment by itself, correct?
Correct.
Wait,
So
So
that
that's the
being
original motion.
Yep.
simply the appointment without interim.
You ready for roll call?
Already information to council.
Councilmember Anderson,
excuse me, could you repeat what we're voting for now?
You made the motion.
No, I made a motion.
The motion is for the appointment of Michelle Cuckoo as city clerk. And there was a second to that.
Before, he called it, so, and you agreed to it, so it has to move on.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Muppet,
No.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Michelle Cuckoo, thank you for being willing to serve as our city clerk again.
Welcome to class.
Madam Mayor, may we have the oath?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, let's see. Clerk.
council, I will have the conditions of her employment as an agenda item. I've made that clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you're the mayor, do whatever you want. You're the mayor, you can make a motion to amend the agenda.
Mayor,
That's true.
and sidebar like that.
Oh, it was business. It really is regarding something going on in the room. I will,
Precisely.
you don't want me to do that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the agenda. Let's see where we are. We are now on item A. Next item is consideration. Well, we're going to have a public hearing and consideration of a second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend the City of Clawson Fire Department pension plan, specifically Chapter 2 of the Clawson Code Administration by making modifications to Article 7 entitled Boards of Commissions and Authorities. Division 3, Fire Department Pension Board of Trustees, Section 2-370A3 of the Clawson Code by deleting such sections and replacing the same as provided. So I'm going to open the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, they may come forth now. Please state your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening, Nate Hara, 413 Park. If you could just read these readings. I've been to a few of these where there's a public hearing or there's a review or a reading, I should say, and it's actually not read. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. So if you could manage to read it and possibly outline exactly what the significance of the changes, I would greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Is there anyone else who has comments regarding this topic? Not, I will close the public hearing. And then I would ask, the easiest way to do what he's asking is probably just go to the highlighted portions in the.
I think the summarization in the cover page.
Okay,
takes care of it.
that's your, well, we'll have you do that.
Yes, ma'am. The attaches are. Sorry, the attaches require text amendment in accordance. Pardon me, to the ordinance governing the fire department employee pension plan. This is being done to comply with the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act of 2019, known as the Secure Act 2.0, which revised required minimum requirements. This text amendment changes the required beginning date, RBD, to collect retirement distributions to 72 years of age or actual retirement, whichever is later. The IRS requires all governmental qualified pension plans to adopt a conforming amendment no later than the last day of the 2024 plan year. The first reading was approved at the November 21st City Council meeting.
And I apologize because I should have allowed you to do that before I opened the public hearing, and then you wouldn't have had to ask that question. That was totally my fault. I apologize for that. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend the City of Clawson Fire Department pension plan, specifically Chapter 2 of the Clawson Code Administration by making modifications to Article.
Support. Councilmember Minkowski, I'm sorry.
No.
Had your hand up twice. No?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions, concerns regarding this? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Minkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved those ordinance amendments as previously stated, and we will move on to item 9B, which is consideration of a resolution to renew the interlocal agreement for information technology services for new GIS services between Oakland County and the City of Clawson.
Madam Mayor, I move the resolution for the renewal of the interlocal agreement for information technology services between Oakland County and the City of Clawson be approved, and to authorize the mayor and the city manager to sign the agreement where required. Support.
Thank you. And any questions or concerns? Mr. Raker, would you like to give a little bit of summary and rationale for this
Sure,
request?
1 second. My computer is giving me a little bit of problems. This is a renewal of the agreement with Oakland County and our community for providing our community with IT services described in the agreement as listed. Oaknet, Internet Access, Clemens, ArcGSI Online, Data Sharing, Pictometry Licensed Products. My recommendation is this resolution approving the interlocal agreement for information IT technology services between Oakland County and the City of Clawson be approved. So a little bit more context. The last time this was before council was 2017. It was for 5 years. There was a lag in between as far as getting it in a timely fashion. It was sent to the wrong email address, and on it's section 21-2, we will make those changes so that there's additional and correct staff that are notified on there. The majority of this is almost identical. There's only been some formatting and some additional definitions and slight increases, like on crash report went from $5 to $6. So you wouldn't have known that unless you had the 2017 report in front of you, and I wasn't going to ask you to read the 2017 as well. So.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Thank you. We will renew that local agreement and move on to the next item, which is item 9C. Discussion of city council meeting dates for 2024 calendar year in accordance with the new city charter.
Madam Mayor, I move to set the schedule for the Clawson City Council to meet at 7:30 PM on the following days in 2024. January 2nd and 16th, February 6th and 20th, March 5th and 19th, April 2nd and 16th, May 7th and 21st, June 4th and 18th, July 2nd and 16th, August 6th and 20th, September 3rd and 17th, October 1st and 15th, November 6th and 19th, and December 3rd and 17th.
Support.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
point of order, from my understanding of the changes that were made was that Mr. Binkowski's amendment was going at the end.
No, that's another one.
That's a different one.
Did we remove the discussion from the agenda? Because I don't so
We can discuss right now.
Well,
We have a motion on the table and we can
Yeah, that was
support
not
and a
on the
discussion.
I don't. This part, he has two things before council that were sent to the council members and not the city manager. So which one are we talking about? Because
This is-
we have the discussion
Madam
on the
Mayor.
agenda and was publicly posted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. And I want to know which one we're talking about so that we are clear for the public.
We are on agenda item 9C, which is discussing the 2024 calendar.
A discussion.
A discussion, right? So he brought forward, he made a motion with the actual dates first and third, all the way through the year, correct?
Yes.
Right, I mean, that's what I heard you say, but I don't have a calendar, so I can't.
And it was
confirm
supported.
that. Okay, so it was approved and it was supported. Now we may discuss. Yes, sir.
I will simply say that the dates I gave were the first and third Tuesdays of the month, as this council has done in previous years, with exception of November 6th instead of November 5th for election day.
Okay. Which we often make adjustments for a calendar, special events. So our city manager was hoping this would be a discussion of calendar for the upcoming year.
And
Sorry,
pardon me.
Mr. Aker, please start your
Yes,
discussion.
I answered the councilman's email and explained to him that this is going to be a discussion item. And okay, correctly, so that we are having a discussion about, and I explained to you that the consensus of that discussion would then be on the agenda as an agenda item for December 19th. And so I made that clear to you. And so in an effort to work with you, I gave you that information. So you're, if this is just a starting point, okay, fine, I understand that. But on your email, it was not sent to the city manager, it was sent to all your colleagues, and it wasn't sent to me.
So let's stick with this and let's say, we just had a proposal and we had a proposal to continue with our calendar the way we have in the past. I believe during our last meeting, or I had a conversation with you, your proposal is that we adjust our calendar moving forward because under the new charter, we are not obligated to have 2 meetings a month. And I believe that's the reason we're going to have discussion, because some of us feel it is still important for us to meet and that we do not want to cut it down drastically. But you had a proposal that is not in here, but it's part of the discussion points, right? We were going to discuss
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
potentially we have a couple times a year where the calendar doesn't necessarily work with meetings, and that vacations and busy schedules might make for better meetings or more productive meetings, and we could eliminate a meeting perhaps in July, because the first week in July, 4th of July, the city is extremely busy. Everyone's really taxed during that time with events, that perhaps we could not schedule a meeting during that week or, that first 2 weeks and then just go to one meeting in July with, of course, the option to add one in if we need it. And then also the same thought was for December to do the same thing, to hold the first meeting in December, but not necessarily the second meeting in December unless needed or required to lighten that up. And then that would be a proposal. I know that's not the motion that's on the table, but for discussion purposes, this was a discussion that was proposed that we perhaps speak of. So is anyone interested in any of those, or should we go ahead for our vote? Yes.
Well, I'd ask that the city clerk, she had some suggestions from an election perspective as well, outside from the November election.
Okay.
We also have an August election this year with a primary, and that does fall on a council meeting night as well.
Okay.
So that would have to be amended along with the November 5th general election.
And I guess I would just like to say, I like the idea of only having one meeting in December because it's an incredibly busy month, but tonight is a perfect example of why we need more than one, because there's stuff that comes up at the end of the year and we're relying on the second meeting in December to conclude our business. So I move the motion be amended to move the August 6th to, what did you say, Michelle? August
6th is election day.
So it'd be moved to August 7th.
7th then.
Yeah, so move August, so I move the motion be amended to move August 6th to August 7th.
Support.
Madam Mayor,
So we also have, or we have other elections that are happening prior to August, do we not, or?
There's a February, but that falls on the 27th of February, so
Okay.
it's
Oh, okay.
past your
Okay.
meeting dates.
All right.
okay, that answered that question.
Okay. Councilmember Anderson, do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, I mean, what was presented is pretty much what we had in the past. It sounds like we're making additional changes to that, which I see no issue.
Yes, and I'd just like to add that I did spend some time talking to a variety of citizens about their thoughts on the cadence for meetings in 2024. And overwhelmingly, the consensus was that they should continue to be twice a month. Not only does that preserve the opportunity of the community to speak their mind at meetings, but also it lends itself to transparency so that the citizens can see what's going on inside the city.
Anyone else?
So what is the schedule for clarity before we vote, please?
So there's a motion and an amendment to that motion. Councilmember Murphy made the amendment. That's the first vote up, and that's to change August 6th into 7th.
Correct.
Once that's voted, then the remainder, the original motion on the table is for the dates that Mr. Binkowski offered all the way through without change.
And Michelle, you have the original calendar, those dates line up according to what we normally do, I'm assuming? Sorry, put you on the
In
spot.
person third, I have not,
Okay.
I didn't go through the dates, but we will check that, I guess.
Is there any interest in going to the one meeting in July that is fairly substantial as far as a rationalization for one?
We could always vote to cancel the
let's-
meeting preceding it, right?
Can you?
Madam Mayor, I ask that we call the vote on this and then we can discuss any other changes.
I say we continue discussion.
What was?
So, thank you.
But as the council can make the motions that they see appropriate and then vote on them, and that's the council's duty to make motions.
Well, we just had a conversation about transparency, so that's why I was saying an agenda item for discussion.
So could we,
Madam Mayor, if you'd like to call the vote, you may call the vote, or you may continue discussion, and it's entirely obviously up to the body.
okay, so is anyone uncomfortable with calling a vote on something that wasn't on the agenda? Even though we have the authority to put something on the agenda?
It's on the agenda. It's
on
the
the agenda, it's the
discussion.
discussion, I
And
understand
the
that.
discussion, in order to discuss it, we need a motion, which is the proper rules of order. Councilmember Binkowski made a motion and a discussion ensued, and there seems to be no objection to what he's proposing amongst the council. So
I believe we could have had open dialogue as well without having a motion. That was the intent, but so be it.
Well, let me say this. The ordinance says there should be no debate or discussion at a council meeting of any issue prior to the proper introduction and support of a motion relating to such issue. So that's precisely what we did.
We've had plenty of discussions in the past and without issue.
Perhaps you've not been following the ordinances then.
Let's call for a vote, please.
This is the amendment.
Could you read it too, just so?
It's the amendment.
The amendment to change the date from the date of the meeting of council from August sixth to August seventh,
Correct.
2024.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes. Thank you. We've adopted our date.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, there's one more motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's another motion that
There's
needs,
a motion on the table.
Right, the second
The main motion is on the table
Right.
for Mr. Binkowski's date that's supported.
Okay.
Councilmember, I'm sorry.
But I don't know that.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Well,
Council.
I'm wondering if we talked about two things, whether we want to amend July to make it one meeting or amend December to make it one meeting. I'm open to whatever this council would like to do.
I believe he called the vote.
No, we called the vote on the amendment.
first amendment, right.
Pardon me.
So there can be discussion ongoing with respect to the main motion.
My personal opinion is just my personal opinion is that we should leave it on the schedule and it can always be removed prior to those meetings if necessary. We can vote on the June 18th meeting to remove the July 2nd if there's nothing that needs to be discussed, but leaving the calendar intact allows us the flexibility to address all the issues and allow the community to participate as scheduled.
Okay. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a schedule moving forward for our meetings. Next, let's see. Hey, we got through all of those and we are,
Yep.
it's the added one. Oh, I have so many arrows. I have a work of art here. Next, I'm gonna defer to Councilmember Binkowski. He want to discuss something having to do with code of ordinances.
I move to direct the city attorney to prepare a revision to Code of Ordinances, section 2-208, which concerns overriding the open bid ordinance to change the requirement for override from 4 council members to at least 75% of council members. Support.
And so just for clarity, this motion would not codify anything at this point. It's just to direct the city manager to prepare it, and then it would go through first and second readings at subsequent council meetings so that the public could be involved and have opinions and all that sort of stuff. So it's just to get the ball rolling on this project, correct?
That's correct. Our ordinances also state that the city attorney must prepare all ordinances, so we're not authorized to make the changes ourselves. So, but I will say that this is kind of a inside pool thing, but we have an ordinance that says whenever the city manager wants to purchase anything or anything over $1,000, he has to go to an open bid, competitive bid process. But we do allow exceptions to that, and that exception is ordinance section 2-208, which currently says 4 council members need to approve such a contract. With the upcoming expansion of our city council to 7 persons, 4 persons would now be a simple majority. And what I'm asking is that we change the language to say 75% of council members, which still keeps us at 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 7, I believe, once the council expands.
Why are we doing it? If it keeps it the same? I'm curious.
It's for when, sorry, I don't want to answer for you, but my understanding, it's more so hearkening to when the council expands to be able to accommodate the 75%, because for for when the council expands.
Yeah.
Well, it absolutely, it's for when the council expands, but also it has meaning right now. If I was to go walk out of here and get hit by a bus and all of a sudden, 3 people want to override a contract, but 1 person doesn't, it would fail. So, and 3 people would be 75%. So it still allows a lot of functionality for the city.
Would that 75% be of the nominal body or how many were present?
The nominal body.
Okay, so in other words, a bare quorum here is 3 people. You
Yes.
have to have 3 council members to even conduct business.
Right.
When this 7-member council comes, it'll be 4.
Yes.
That'll be the bare. So we're not talking about 3 people get sick, 4 people sitting here, and 75% would be 3. So at that point, we wouldn't allow 3 of 4, it would be 3 of 7, or 75% of 7.
That's correct. I mean, this exception to the rule is for exceptional circumstances. And I think it should stay that way. I mean, the city manager is still able to bid anything out, without having to go to the council for a special supermajority approval.
But as this is effectively for the 7-member council, should we not make this decision, leave this decision for a 7-member council to address, as opposed to us addressing right now, when it has no effect on how we would operate now?
But it does have an effect, as I explained. If I was to be hit by a bus, you would take 4 people to, it would take all 4 council members. When I was saying that it would, if you pass this, then it would take only 3 council members to provide the override.
Well, then are we gonna go through every ordinance and find that little exception? Because that's how we get into, I mean, there are other instances that we could go through and find, do we need to, like, is that what we're gonna do in council? I'm sorry, Mr. Raker, you have your hands up.
Yes, to Mr. Binkowski's point, I did share with him that the city attorney is going to have a presentation or a brief at the December 19th meeting where he will explain some of the finer changes and things that council will have to act on, and that would be where that could be shared. I think that this is looking at the past, at how things got on the agenda and how the morass that this community found itself in. I don't think it's wise that we start just taking agenda items. I don't see the urgency on this at this moment, and to have it walked on and say, hey, we're going to start doing this deliberately out of coordination with the administration, I think sends a bad message.
So, Madam Mayor, we had talked about in the recent past, obviously since the passing of the charter, about all the potential ordinances that have been affected de facto from the new charter. And obviously, and there's some interpretation that's going to go on both from the administration, but also this body, as far as things that we could potentially change, things that we may want to change, and things that we may deem that the Charter Commission had the ability to change, but chose not to, chose to leave be. This is definitely one of those items that obviously council can and should consider perhaps. My question, or not my question, but my thought to you would be to consider doing a more comprehensive review of the ordinances as a whole, but also with respect to one of the main areas that was affected, in my humble opinion, in reviewing the changes of the new charter from the old charter. One of the main areas that was affected was contracts. And I think contracts need to be, the process for reviewing contracts and how contracts come to be needs to be reviewed by council. And we need to have some specific ordinances because the new charter did away with some critical language that we had utilized for the basis of some of our current ordinances. So I think that may require some additional timing on account of this body and us obviously to prepare things for you to review. I think one way to think about it, at least that I've been thinking about it, this body probably needs to revisit the city manager's level of spending maximum that we currently have. In the charter, there were other ways in which the authority has been sort of open. There's one school of thought, not to throw too much of you, but there's one school of thought, and I ascribe to it, which states that the moment that a budget has been passed by this honorable body, right, all those items have been approved, and the city manager and the administration as a result has been given the authority to spend the money. And the contracts, of course, ensue, and we bring them to you, but that's more a courtesy and tradition as opposed to you've already made the determination by approving said budget. So a lot of these issues, I think, the new charter will bring an opportunity to review a lot of these issues, contracts being critical among them. Just thoughts for you.
Can I ask Mr. Councilmember Pinkowski, what was your urgency in presenting this as soon as possible?
There was no urgency except for the fact that I noticed it when I was going through the charter, and I said, well, that needs to be changed because it doesn't make sense. It won't make sense, and it frankly doesn't make sense now to set it as a static number of people instead of a percentage of the council, because the number of people up here could float from 4 to 3 and so forth. And that's why I thought it made no sense and it needed to be changed, and that's why I brought it.
So there, you don't have any particular concerns, or it's not a reaction to anything that happened, it's just doing your due diligence as reading everything, you were like, oh, we should do that.
Exactly. I'm an attorney, and I have been plugging through the new charter and the new ordinances, and I just kind of flagged this one.
Mr. Raker?
So I agreed with the points that he brought up. I explained to him that you brought greater need for consideration to all the changes within the charter. And I said we were going to have a more robust conversation about this and presentation at the December 19th meeting. And so I acknowledged his concerns and the fact that we were doing our due diligence to move it forward. To introduce it and fast track it for some reason, I think publicly just shows that the city council and the city administration are not necessarily working very well. And I think we have been working fairly well.
Well, I mean, I respectfully agree. I don't think it doesn't mean we're not working well, but this is the legislative body and you're the executive branch, and we're allowed to make ordinances. That's what we do.
And I'm communicating with you in a methodical way to bring your concerns to fruition. And because it wasn't on your timeline, you wanted to just inject and be disruptive. And so I'm asking that you don't.
How, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't think proposing a change to an ordinance is disruptive. It's my job.
No, you're right. Okay. I mean, I'll agree with you that it is within your scope of responsibility. However, our city attorney has just stated that he has more information he'd like to put together with this, right? When we address something like this, is that basically what you said?
Yeah, obviously it's entirely the body's choice as to whether you want to deal with it individually there's a motion on the table, obviously, they're
Yeah,
going to vote on.
we'll go there next.
Yeah, they're going to vote next. But we will be bringing you more information. So that's just a statement of fact, because Mr. Rager and I have been having this conversation, obviously, since the November election. And we've been reading this new charter, attempting to foresee in conjunction with all our ordinances, that we do see a lot of obviously room for improvement, a lot of ordinances that we must do away with. One of the things that I will bring to this body come next meeting is probably the consideration to have an ad hoc committee to work with the administration to start reviewing the ordinances, so that it's a more, obviously cohesive work product coming from, with a couple of members of council as well as a few members of the administration. We take a comprehensive look at all our ordinances. But obviously it's the body's choice as to how you handle the motion today.
Am I the only one who thought that the charter was supposed to make this job easier?
It's not sure.
And the ordinances were supposed to work with the existing charter, but we can call for the vote. I guess I would.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just as far as you're talking about things for consideration. So this isn't just this is just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion, as far as what they're.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So this is a start. All right, I appreciate that. Obviously, we're gonna get more, and I don't think it's gonna be limited just to December 19th or next meeting.
No, yeah, and I don't imagine it will, because I mean, just my quickest look, there's probably 3 main areas, but at least 7 sort of areas of inquiry that the body will take as far as the various aspects of the charter and ordinances that we have. Above and beyond that, we of course have, our ordinances tend to be rather dated as well. We above and beyond areas that the charter affected, we do have some ordinances that need help in and of themselves. And that's why, as I stated, I would want to at least entice the body, and I'm glad this conversation is occurring so that you have this in the back of your mind, to think about having an ad hoc committee and whether you'd be willing and able to serve, so that we may take a more comprehensive look at the larger whole.
Okay, so you'll have more details on the ad hoc committee and what that'll entail in the next.
Absolutely. So we have, our charter does not allow for standing committees. We do it more on ad hoc basis. I think that one, that was part of the conversation that we had with the city manager. He indicated that he wished to have as much information provided to council. But of course, we were always operating under, well, with the understanding that January 1st is when obviously the charter kicks in. Everything will have to happen sort of, not will have to happen, pardon me. We were operating with the impression that we're gonna go January 1st and thereafter.
So are we doing, is the expectation we'll need to do a triage and try to prioritize what we need to look at first, or?
Well, I think so. I mean, you, by definition, you will. And my thought always was, probably the main area was, there's simpler things that the charter changed and are affected as far as our code of ordinances is concerned, that we're gonna be able to take things like private connections to sewers and stuff like that. The charter dictated that we have an ordinance with, or not dictated, but states that you can have an ordinance, you can better deal with that in an ordinance. That ordinance is simple. I imagine there's not going to be a whole lot of conversation or discussion by council. We'll have a simple vote. Other areas such as contracts, limits on the city manager's spending authority, and issues such as the one that Mr. Bukowski raised today will obviously necessitate more discussion by council. Because now we're talking about affecting that ability of the city manager to proceed and manage the day-to-day. And that's perfectly appropriate for council to legislate on. Is just how does it affect the larger whole? How do you wish for him to be able to do so?
So we've established that we have a lot of area to look at one more time.
And I respect what you guys, we're getting a little bit off.
That's what I was
topic.
gonna say the same thing, but I just, didn't want to cut him off him.
You're right.
My point is just like, what's the scope and what's the scale? This is one thing,
Mhm.
right? And I understand and appreciate where you're coming from on it. Obviously, we've got more. And again, it's in my understanding, my belief is that we all want to be in concert in making sure that we're doing the appropriate things as they come forward to us as diligently, as pragmatic and practical as they can. So that we're not necessarily bogging you down, right, with what, I shouldn't say bogging you down, but, giving you direction and what need feedback from you and where you think the prioritizations are.
So to your point there, my only concern with this method is that I clearly communicated to the council member when these issues were going to be addressed. And now no, I want it on the agenda and we're going to do it my way. That starts a behavior that does not need to be replicated by the other members of council. And I hope is not replicated again by this council member, because it's going to take us backwards. And then I have a single master, which is this body, and not 5, and then turning into 7. The body acts as a body, and that item was not part of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, with all due respect to the city manager, I asked very nicely if you could put this on the agenda, and you told me no.
No,
No, excuse me. It is my turn to talk.
Okay, well, then speak accurately. I have the email.
You told me you refused to put it on the agenda and that you were in charge of the agenda and nobody else is in charge of the agenda. That is what you told me.
No, I provided.
In your email.
Okay, oh, I did. Okay, go ahead.
So therefore, if you want to help, and if you want to say, I'm not allowed to bring up a legislative item at this legislative body, I respectfully disagree with you.
Yes.
I am not saying that at all. I'm saying the method in which they come before this body and they are shared in advance with the public is of a critical nature to this community.
And that is why I sent it to you and asked you to put it on the agenda, and you refused.
And I explained to you how the agenda works. I provided you the city attorney's opinion, and I explained to you when your concerns would be addressed. And I thanked you for bringing this to my attention.
May we call the vote, madam?
Yes, I was just gonna say the same thing. May we call the vote, Michelle?
Councilmember Anderson,
No.
Councilmember Bukowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. Whatever that code of ordinance review is going to take place. Thank you very much. We are going to move on to the next item, which is old unfinished business.
The minutes got moved.
Oh,
to the
yeah,
very
sorry.
end. So
It's
just,
there.
two things. The organizational meeting minutes had my name spelled wrong all throughout. And the minutes of the regular council meeting for November 21st, the adjournment motion says it's made by Councilmember Sampson, who was not present on the dais for the 21st. So I move that the minutes for the city council organizational meeting held on Monday, November 20th, 2023 be revised to correct the spelling of Councilmember Moffitt's name, and then the minutes of the regular council meeting held on November 21st, 2023 be amended to show the proper motion for adjournment for a council member that was present at the time.
Support.
Roll call.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Now, do we have any old unfinished business? No.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's a great answer. So we shall move on to what many people in this audience are going to be so thrilled that we finally made it through, which is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak, please make your way to the podium and state your name and your address, and we will hear your item. And everyone in the audience, and I'm going to give you 2 credit for being here for her as well. Everyone in the audience is here for you. How do you feel?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Come on up, grab from this side.
My name is Madeline Waldick, 1520 North Southridge. I am a sophomore at Clawson High School, and I'm here today to ask for your support for the installation of a stop sign at the intersection of Washington and Phillips, making it a 4-way stop. As many of you know, this project has been a part of Mr. Hick's civics class for a few years now, and I'm hoping to be the one to finally complete this assignment. More now than ever, this stop sign is needed. As of next year, the elementary school students will be joining us and on the high school and middle school campus. Many of these younger students will be walking with or without parents. A 4-way stop would slow down traffic, and a 4-way stop would also allow students to cross safely and cars to pass more efficiently. According to the National Traffic Study, a 4-way stop reduces incidents by 45%. I walked the neighborhood and visited residents' homes near the intersection. They were in support of my petition and signed it. Overall, I've collected nearly 400 signatures in support of a 4-way stop at Washington and Phillips. To raise awareness, this is also posted online in the official Clawson Community Forum on Facebook, where is very well received, nearly 100 comments and messages in support, and nearly 300 online signatures from Clawson residents. A few of the comments also share that I've seen my fair share of crashes there. This needs to be done, and I couldn't be happier about this. And it will be very necessary once the elementary school opens. Additionally, a student shared that he himself had nearly almost been hit crossing this intersection after school walking to meet a parent. A writer from the Oakland County Times News website reached out, and I spoke with her today. They're going to publish an article about this project. I also plan to attend the Traffic and Safety Board meeting this week to ask for more support. In conclusion, it is only one corner and one stop, but one family, the stop sign could mean everything. Please consider this project in helping to move further along in this effort. Thank you so much.
Very good.
So generally, or we're not allowed to speak, we're not encouraged to speak during public comment, but I just have to say you were amazing. You did your homework. Mr. Raker, I don't know about you, but social media right there, she's got it all covered. Have you spoken with our police chief in the traffic safety board?
We emailed for.
She was here earlier and I saw her take off a little bit ago, but we'll make sure that you get in contact with her because it's a traffic safety board that would make any kind of determinations regarding stop signs and such, but really proud of you. I love that you have a support team that sat through this really lengthy meeting. Mr. Raker here.
Yeah, just for your awareness, the superintendent has brought it to my attention as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any comments for this great young lady? and her fan group back there. No? Well, thank you so much for coming today, and we'll make sure you get in touch with the people you need to get in touch with.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we're clapping for you.
Thank you, thank you. My name is Blake Reynolds. I live at 953 Grant Avenue. And I just had a question about how, like, if this stop sign were to be approved, how long would it take to be installed? Like,
Mr. Raker, I'll defer to you.
The actual installation itself is fairly quick. Our DPW would do it. However, there is a process where there's an actual study. It goes before the Traffic and Safety Committee and a recommendation from them and the police chief. But I do believe to some extent that this has already developed some legs and is making some progress.
that's good. All right, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. Anyone else back there? Come on, you can share your thoughts and ideas about this really important civic meeting that you attended tonight and gave up one whole night of your life. We'll pass. Shar will share her thoughts.
I'm going to end on a upbeat note.
Of course.
I'm Shar Larson with the Clawson Chamber of Commerce, and if any of you are up early at 8:30 tomorrow morning, we invite you to join the chamber at Van Avery Chiropractic on Rochester Road. It's right next to Cash Collision, which is the last business in Clawson. Van Avery has been a longtime member of the Clawson community, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. So if you're able to, please join us at 8:30. Then we move on to Thursday, December 7th. We have a Oak Neck social meeting, which is at HubWorks 360 on Maple. The Chamber of Commerce has been involved in this almost from the start. It's a one business opportunity. If you're an electrician, we only have one electrician and things like that. Many, many businesses from the Clawson area have benefited so much for this. It is 3 times you can come and it's free. And it is at 9 o'clock in the morning at HubWorks 360 Suite A. If in fact you decide to join, it's $60 a year, which pays for our room and coffee and water and things like that. So I would encourage everybody. Several local small businesses that operate out of their homes in Clawson are also members. So just an FYI, it's in the newsletter, but I don't know how many of you read our newsletter, but it's a reoccurring thing like the bingo. Then on December 13th, we are meeting again with another business. It's Big Boy in Troy, who has been a longtime member of Clawson Chamber of Commerce and also supports the Clawson community. It's you order off the menu, you pay for it yourself, but it's at 11:30. So if you're available, you know, those big boys and those Slim Jims are very good. So come and join us. Then on Friday, December 15th, and this will all be in our newsletter and everything. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is not our normal coffee time once a month, but the Royal Oak Chamber of Commerce as well as Clawson will be at Leon and Lulu's. So please come and join us. Then we have December 19th, Christmas Jingle and Mingle down at Tavern on the Main. And we're going to have food and we're going to have some soft drinks that will be available. It will be $30 at the door. We're hoping people will pay ahead of time so we have a good count, or at least let me know so Tavern on the Main knows how much food to make. And I think I have one more. And this is in January, and I'm sure other things will crop up, so I'll have to come to the December 19th meeting. And on January 19th, from 6 to 10, Shields Community Event, Euchre. No partners are needed. I don't play, I just take the money. But people have so much fun, and it's a community event. And, you know, we're not just for businesses, we're for the community support. Pizza, salad, pasta, Alfredo, penny pasta with meat, breadsticks, soft drinks, coffee, and tea. Many people come and just eat the food and watch the people. $25, food and cards, $35, cash prizes, raffles, 50-50. So if you can support any of these events, we appreciate it. It just helps bring the community together. And thank you very much. And I'll see you on the 19th.
Why not? Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for public? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Weston Haskey, 278 John M. I was just wondering about the stop signs again, like the pricing, would that ever be like a problem? Would that be like an excuse to not get it installed?
Let's all collectively say, oh, no, it would never, pricing would not be a
This is
problem.
made of titanium.
Okay,
Community safety is priority. Yeah,
Do you care about safety?
okay, that's it.
thank you.
Good question. Is there anyone else?
Back again for the DDA, Joan Horton. Just wanted to point out that downtown dollars are for sale. Downtown Clawson, gift cards are available on our home page. The DDA has put money into this program again this year, so that if you buy a gift card, you get a bonus card that you can have for yourself or give it to somebody else. But if you buy $100, you get a $25 gift card. If you buy a $50 card, you get a $10 bonus card. If you buy a $25 card, you get a $5 bonus card. The cards can be used practically anywhere downtown. Most businesses have signed up. All of the restaurants have signed up. So if you don't know what to get somebody, this card could go anywhere from Leon and Lulu Eclectic Home to Zioli's. So anywhere in between. So again, not sure what to get. They're purchased online. It's all digital and makes a great gift for anybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, we'll close public discussion and go to the city clerk's report. Michelle, do you have anything for us this evening?
Well, I had a report, but I'm gonna make it brief. The update on boards and commissions, we do have several openings and expired terms. I'm going to for the next meeting, I'll submit a boards and commission list and what exactly, I've got a list here, but rather than read them all, I would like you to be aware of what's open and what needs to be done. Compensation Commission has not happened this year. It should happen in the odd number year. But the problem is we don't have a board. So we do need we need to be seeking out someone to be on that board. We have 2 vacancies and 2 expired terms currently of a 5-member board. So we do need some on that board to even have a meeting. We need to at least have a quorum. So that one might be a little more urgent so that we could at least get that the council's compensation reviewed and submitted back to you.
Okay,
And that's all I
thank
have.
you. And welcome again. City Attorney's report, Mr. Good, I'm gonna call you Mr. Gitschlag.
No
Let's
worries.
not do that. Mr. Newshy.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Just briefly, first of all, Shar has gently admonished me to speak into the microphone as opposed to towards you. So I'm gonna be speaking to the microphone a little more. Thank you.
I promised Joe I would get hearing aids before the end of the year, so.
So with that in mind, we recently received a civil rights complaint filed by a former Clawson Police Department officer. The matter was alleging certain civil rights violations. The matter was handled at the Civil Rights Commission. We responded to it. Happy to inform you that the commission dismissed it, finding that there was no violation by the city. So all is well there. And I informed you last time that per my conversation with Mr. Rager, we wanted to provide you some information with respect to our prosecutions and the things that we do. Went to the easiest way for me to be able to do so was to go to our district court to find out some information about the cases that we handled there. And the district court told us that we've handled to date, January 1st, 2023 to December 1st, we've handled 1,298 cases. That includes citations, tickets, municipal matters, as well as all criminal matters. All those with the only items that are not reflected in that number are all those parking enforcement tickets and other tickets that are payable directly to the city. Those don't go to the court, so they have no statistics on that. So it was a busy year, and realistically, it was a busy year after a couple of quieter years as far as the total number of cases. We still were experiencing some lag as far as our caseload was concerned on account of probably the pandemic still. But 2023, I think with those numbers, we're up above from what we've done probably the last 5-7 years, a period of time. So lots of work there. Other than that, I have nothing further and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our city manager's report, Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last Wednesday was the annual tree lighting, and I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Pastor Traxel, who is also our police department chaplain. Chaplain Traxel encouraged members of his congregation choir to attend the tree lighting and join the high school choir on the gazebo. Another special thanks to the school district for their welcoming attitude, and choir director Kathleen Keys for facilitating the spirit of community and collaboration. There was a bit of a lag in the tree lighting, unfortunately, because key staff and I were so impressed with the turnout and the interest in Santa Claus that we lost some situational awareness for the moment. So thank you to Councilmember Moffitt for gently reminding me that we still have to light the tree. So that was a good problem to have, because there was a very big turnout there. As you know, this year City Council did approve goals and objectives for the fiscal year. Our next meeting is about the halfway point in the fiscal year, and I plan to have a visual progress report for council and the community. Pending your questions, that's my report. And Mayor, just a reminder of our, yes,
I remember. Okay, any questions?
I have a question. So when does, you said it's halfway from the last goals and objectives that you were presented with. When does the new cycle begin, or when does the new people have an opportunity, or is there a new, explain to me the process. It's what I'm saying. So goals and objectives, it's halfway. So 6 months ago, goals and objectives were presented to you. So in another 6 months, does a new set go in place, or how does it work?
So in conjunction with the budget this past year, we started a goal setting and objectives turned into an objective setting as well. In conjunction with the budget process. And so we actually established those goals and objectives beforehand. The synchronization of those in conjunction with my evaluation and the fiscal year were of concern. So you're going to have to be looking to the future and also looking at the past kind of simultaneously. So what will happen is come February timeframe, we'll start looking towards the future. But before we do that, I need to give you an update on where we're at. And this is, I don't know if council's done this in the past or any administration has provided an update on those goals and objectives, but I think we're being progressive in our approach.
So the short answer is February.
February, March time. We'll be doing it, yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right, cool. Excellent. All right, thanks.
Any other questions for the city manager? No, then let's go to council comments. Councilmember Binkowski.
Just one thing is since we were talking a little bit about goals and objectives, I would greatly prefer that we get started in January, very early next year, and started talking about goals. That way we can set goals for the city management before the city manager has to do his budget. So that is my thought on the matter, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any comments?
Only thing I thought of to say is I think Hanukkah starts on Friday, so happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate.
Nice. Councilmember Anderson,
No comments.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Just another shout out to the robotics team from Guardian Angels. That was really inspiring. So hopefully we can see more of the same from other groups.
Yeah, that's great. So this past week, I had the pleasure of sitting down with our city manager, Mr. Schellenberger, and Mr. Frank from the school board, and we were just having a very generic conversation. And out of that generic conversation, we decided, well, we both decided that we'd go to each of our bodies to see if there was an interest in coming together to sit, to see what we could do to capitalize on each other's strengths and then to ultimately build on those strengths so that we could continue to build our communities to benefit each other as a whole, right? Not just each institution figuring it out, but there are certain things that we both have strengths in and the other one might not. So part of this came about as an interest from the residents who were here over the last couple of weeks who are very interested in perhaps making a deal on Shulm because they're not looking forward to the school district's plan on that. And while Mr. Schellenberger said all offers are still on the table, there's nothing that has been closed. The clock is ticking rapidly on that. And I don't know how much hope there is in working something out that we don't know unless we sit down and have a conversation. So my question to this body is, are you interested in setting up a meeting with the school board to just basically have a collaborative time to see what both entities think about working together in the future? And we, just in a brief conversation, we're looking at anything that can just promote the community and promote the school district at the same time, knowing that strong schools, strong community, we need both. We each need each other to survive and to do well. And some of these initiatives will be extremely small, just like community support and awareness, and others could be greater with shared resources, which of course all have strings attached to them and will require a lot of conversation. But the question is, are you interested in beginning a conversation?
Absolutely.
I assume you mean after the new year, though.
I mean, if we have to wait till after the new year, but I think, yes, Mr. Raker.
So if I may, in our conversation, we talked about coming back to this meeting and socializing it with the respective board, gaining consensus, and that our next meeting for both respective bodies formalizing, a resolution of commitment in some way, shape, or form, so that we start demonstrating to the community and anyone who's thinking about investing or moving to Clawson that, hey, this both government entities are collaborating and working together, and it seems like, that's something to consider as opposed to doing a Google search and looking at the past and finding reasons why not to come to Clawson. So
if that's the case, then moving forward, we're gonna, next meeting, we draft something or we come up with something now to draft?
So I would have, in conjunction with the superintendent, we would have basically kind of reciprocal proclamations of commitment that will draft, just basically declaring our commitment to the community and to work with each other in collaborative fashion. So, and some of the items that, are, if you mind, you want me to just give some of the wave tops?
Yeah.
We talked about working together on a quarterly newsletter. One, just reinvigorate our relationship between the city council and the school board. Currently, the superintendent and I have biweekly meetings. We'll have an independent memorandum of understanding, much like something that we can point to as a community, much like we have our goals and objectives, much like how I have my city manager's expectations. We have the joint meeting of the school board and potentially develop a joint group of people, stakeholders, members of the elected bodies to further this endeavor. So there's a lot that can come out of it, but the first step is a public commitment to each other to work together.
And okay, great, then go ahead. Bring that to us. Do your magic.
So we have to have the a memorandum of understanding, the commitment, and then can that come up with dates that we can at least
Plan around.
Well, since you're interested, I'll talk to Mr. Schellenberger tomorrow and we'll start, we can probably, him and I can spitball some dates for early in January. We have to do this sooner rather than later. And I can start socializing those via email to gain your consensus as where earliest in the year is feasible for you.
And part of the conversation was to make it a really formal and a really good kickoff that was more than just us to, okay, we're done with it. We want it to be kind of impactful so that the community understands that we're both doing the same thing and that it is, the word formal doesn't seem like it makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's enough, but we want a little bit of showmanship on it to put some strength behind it.
Showmanship and substance. This is going to be something that we point to because there will be items that will be challenging and we need to remind each other and point to like, hey, we agreed to work together. Let's keep, and one thing that Mr. Schellenberger and I say all the time is, let's keep the conversation going. Nothing's off the table. And so that's our commitment to each other, and we'd like to bring that to both respective boards.
For a point of record, what is they don't have an end date for Sholm at this point, right? Or Raker?
I believe there is a deadline on the horizon. What it is specifically referred to as, I don't know. But we are of the understanding that we need to move expeditiously if some of these concerns or options or possibilities see the light of day.
And that's the other thing, like, how do we as a body approach whether or not we want to investigate whether we are interested in pursuing a physical.
We'll start
acquisition or-
having those conversations. I think more substantively in the first meeting is the start. And
Well, it seems like that might be too late based on what he was saying last week. They've accepted.
well, I think we agree that Sean very likely is too late, but we got to do what we can for consideration. And if it's a good idea, a better mousetrap, I'm confident that they will take that under consideration. But if we don't get it to the table in time, or at least a formal way of introducing some things or suggesting them, then we kind of miss the boat.
Yeah, well, I guess that's it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll put ourselves in a good spot so we don't necessarily miss another boat moving forward, right? Intentionally. Did you have anything?
Let's move it along.
Okay.
If the clock is ticking on Sean, let's move. I thought I heard you say maybe too late.
I mean, you have to take into consideration that the school district has been working on these moves for a few years now. And things are in motion. And whether or not those other considerations can be put in play. I don't have any reason to believe that it's a done deal because they haven't committed to anybody. But I think we have to have, potentially a better idea for their consideration if that is our desire.
And realistically, they're in it for money, right? They're
Well,
local.
kind of evil way, but in a business sense, smart sense, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the right sizing of the district.
Make a win-win out of it.
The Shalom decision right now, like where they are with what's going to happen with that project. He pretty clear in stating that, we'll consider the city as a proposal, we will consider your proposal, but understand that, we have a value on this and we would have to meet that value. So if it's something that this council wants to consider, looking at that property, I would just say we really need to do it now.
Yeah.
If
We have-
your body is open to doing that.
And I think this is the first step in doing that, is to have a conversation with, I'll have it with Mr. Schellenbarger, and knowing that, hey, what other information is the school district looking for in order to, like, hey, is our idea better? I'm not sure if it is or isn't. I can only spend so much time on possibilities because I have to consider other things. And I'm glad this is finally coming to fruition for consideration, but we'll have something substantive for your consideration and to facilitate a conversation with the school board.
Okay, all right, thank you. On another note, Gus's Snug opened this weekend in Grand River Brewery. So you have 2 new places to go check out for your dining fun in Clawson. And then this weekend on Saturday, there is Pom Pom Palooza at the library, and who wouldn't want to play with pom-poms all day? And then also in the season of giving, there is a giving tree at Blair Memorial Library. You can give online or in person, and you can give any dollar amount that you would choose. And those dollars will go towards purchasing items within the library. And the toy drive is also having the police department is also having a toy drive. So if you would like to feel like you are giving and making a difference in people's lives this season, those are some opportunities for you. And other than that, I want to say thank you also to the administration and to Gina and Lisa, who did an exceptional job at the tree lighting ceremony, and the DPW for getting all those lights up and out and dealing with the little problems that ensued. And Shar, your people were amazing at inside City Hall. There was plenty of hot cocoa and plenty of cookies bagged up. And Santa Claus was amazing as always. And he said Clawson is his favorite place. I don't know if he tells anyone else that, but he definitely told us that day. And it was just a good kickoff to the season. So that's all. And I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support. All, yes. I wanted to say all in favor because it would seem like it's such a better meeting.
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the 16th. Meeting adjourned. It looks like you scared everyone out of here.
Oh, great. What did we do?
They took over his space and then they all left it.
Pride for sticking.
Pride, it's that
Is that
self-pride.
like walking out of church before it's over?
To beat the parking lot crowd, is that why they do it?
Yeah.